So, I played Apex this morning.
Huh.
Nice.
I swear, I think I got rezzed 3 times. I got dropped 4 times, and then suddenly we managed to win. I got the last kill. I was like, wow. I guess I don't suck as much
Noise.
as I thought. All right, let's begin. Today, we're talking about resource management and how it applies itself in real life, and it's something you pick up on in a game. And it's kind of funny because way back when, I used to play Warcraft, and resource management is all about not getting taxed, right? You keep it below a certain unit measure of like 60 food, and you get to keep your full 10 gold. The moment you go above, you lose 4 gold. And if you go into high upkeep, you lose 7 gold per every unit for 90, what's it called? 90 food usage. And it was one of those things that I didn't learn any lessons from because obviously I still spend money like it's water. So, but today we have Josh to discuss about it, and we have Armand, who everyone knows is from Boost e-wallet,
Hello. Hello.
and
Hello. Hello.
he should definitely be able to tell us something new about resource management and money management. Because let's be fair, right? E-wallets always sell you the same thing. The MAE app, Boost app. One of the key main things was, hey, you can split the bill. I was like, who cares, bro? Who cares the fuck about splitting the bill?
Buy now, pay later.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel
Yep.
like that's even more difficult to do if you just split the bill. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, everyone's got to scan your QR and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm.
then I went on a trip to go see Arctic Monkeys, and we were using the Splitwise app,
Yep.
and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, it's a little bit better in terms of money management, but I just want to quickly get some thoughts, some random thoughts about what you guys think about the state of whether or not video games can even give you this ability to resource manage in real life. Anybody want to
Right.
chime in?
As usual, Joshua, you can go first.
I mean, in terms of resource, it comes in all forms, right? So it's present in many different games, from survival horror games to fighting games
Mm.
to adventure games. So it's all,
Mm.
they call it as, I mean, your health points still a resource now.
Sure, exactly. That's
Yep.
keeping you
Yep.
alive, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's like in its simplest form, right? Of course, there's no interest or tax on it on your health bar, just on your performance, but still, it's some form of resource. So I think as you were alluding to, John, earlier, where you have then a little bit more complex systems in like Warcraft, where after a certain limit they charge you a tax deductible, and it's
You tax deductible.
tax, basically
Fair,
a tax
fair.
charger. So it's so real life, right? It's like the guarantees of life is birth, death, and taxes, right?
Yeah, that is
Mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mm-hmm.
true.
So
Death
I
and
guess it's
taxes.
also reflected in the games we enjoy and play. I mean, how much more closer can it mimic life? Uh,
Yep. 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 Totally agree.
yeah,
Totally agree.
yeah. So your thoughts, Arman? What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, good point where John started off with, RTS. I think that is the most simplest game comparison to how we look at resource management, right? So you have X amount of resources, and X amount of resources, you need to then build X amount of, either new factories or new vehicles or new soldiers in that manner, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think to go a bit deeper when you said there are other stuff that we look at resource management like your health bars. I think one of the games that really got to me in terms of not direct resource management is Resident Evil. You had like a square, like you had to put
Mm-hmm,
like,
mm-hmm.
okay, should I carry the pistol and my health bar and my veil and my food or my cigarettes and my this and my
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
or do I forego this because I need to arrange and make space? So that kind of helped me with packing. Like, okay, how do I then you know,
So
have
true.
this little square and then look at how I'm supposed to carry what is needed in the next mission or so. But they do have points where I have chests, right? So that's the one that we don't see in terms of how we resource manage. So that's somehow already resource management. But I think in this context of resource management, you look at what you have within the game, and then like I said just now, it kind of helped me with my packing, right? So it does reflect in terms of real life. I mean, whether you like to admit it or not, sometimes art imitates life and life imitates art. So you kind of carry it with you in real life, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you realize it or not.
That's fair. That's fair. I think that makes sense. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed just now when you said like health bar, and I was thinking like one thing horror games has taught me is that when you're at the end of the month and you only have 2 ringgit in your wallet, and you literally have like, I remember this is a really stupid story. Like I was so broke at some point when I came back from Canada that I was driving my mom's old Honda Accord, and I used to have this cigarette tray, and it used to be filled with 10 cents coins and
Same,
5 cents
same with
coins.
my car too.
And I was like, oh man, if I don't have enough to get to the toll, I can't get home. You know what I mean? I gotta use the Filio Damansara way and just take the non-toll way, right? And you just by the look of the draw, right? I just pull up to the pay cash counter. I count out 92 cents, and I tell the kakak there, I'm like, I don't have $1. This is for Sprint Highway, and she's like, "Nah, my luck, let me go." But I was like, that's a case of bad resource management. I obviously didn't learn anything from any games, but I can tell you this: the horror of showing up there and then realizing you got 8 cents short, and you're like, oh, that is a horror game on its own. You know?
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
Yeah, so I get it's important. I guess like these kind of things are something everybody should learn, right? I mean, we're supposed to learn it. You're supposed to learn how to adult, right? So I think these are lessons, I guess, that people teach you along the way. There was another Sims 4 guy who likes to go rags to riches. He starts out by selling plants, and I was just thinking, man, you mean I could do that in real life? I could just go find a piece of land and grow a rose, and then turn that into a multi-million-dollar empire.
Yeah. Wait, sorry to jump in, John.
Yeah,
but,
no, go ahead.
I remember there was this one kid that I think he traded up. Like I'm not sure if it was a paperclip or a pen. He traded up into a house. I don't know if you guys remember that story.
I know of a
This was
person
like
who
10
traded
years
up.
ago, right, or something?
Yeah,
This
so
was
he
quite a
started
while back,
with. Yeah, it's like a while back. He started with either a paperclip or a pen. So he like, okay, you need a paperclip. So I'll trade my paperclip with a paper. And then he got that paper, and then he traded up, and then he traded up, and then he traded up. So in a way, he somehow or other managed to gamify his resource management in a way, right? Similarly to what we are seeing right now, even for Boost as well, how we are pushing customers to be more wise with their money is we gamify the process of savings.
Well, I mean, not just with the shake motion, right? I hope.
No, it's not just that. Like I think even with every bank nowadays, it's how they get people to save or try to manage their finances is by gamifying the whole experience.
Yeah.
It's no longer save money because for your rainy day. No, like it's like save money and then you get 2 stars. With this 2 stars, you can get this, and then with this, and then you can save more money, and then in return, it keeps going and going and going. And again, that's why I said going back to how life imitates art and art imitating life. The brands all know this, that gamifying certain thing really works, especially when it comes to money, because again, it's so easy to say save money for rainy day, but some people just don't care, right? At the same time, as you said, like whatever coins I have, I'm just going to save up and then see how I can survive towards the month's end. But that's like a very big gamble, so we don't want that. So what we're trying to do is to get people to try and save money through gamification.
Are you on the MAE app?
No, I'm not.
Josh, are you on it?
Yeah, I'm on it.
So every once in a while, you make a transfer, and then they give you an entry pass. And if you click the entry pass, you check in, you might win an iPad. Of course, I don't use. I don't use.
You might.
You might.
You might win.
I don't use May often enough because obviously the money comes through a different channel. But I make 2 transfers a month on May, and then they're like, oh, you have like 2 tickets to entry for an iPad. And I'm like, man, I have been using it for a year. I haven't won an iPad yet.
I think, John, that's like a constant struggle, right, for most of these things where we're prompted or we're prompt stuff that we are liable to or likely to win something, but somehow or other everybody within our common circle just never wins anything, right? So
Yeah.
so does anybody actually get the
Yeah, I
winnings?
guess we're
Yeah.
kind of a little bit of a sucker kind of mentality. Like, oh yeah, maybe I'll just pay all my bills through the May app, and they'd be like, maybe you'll win an iPad.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I like that maybe part.
Yeah, but see again, going back to that, that's a form of gamification, right? They try to get you to do something based with whatever resources that you have, and then go, okay, you trade up this resource for another form of resource.
What about this? Okay, I
Okay.
feel like this is not in the notes, but it's like risk versus reward, right?
Ooh.
So thoughts. Just give me your plain thoughts on that, because for me, the alarm bell's ringing, right? Like, I decided to trade up a pen or a paper clip for a piece of paper. Well, if this is a piece of paper, this is a piece of shit. I'm not going to be able to get anything else for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, do you think that sort of factors into our everyday thing, that something like gaming teaches us?
Yeah, it's called gambling. No,
Oh, no, you didn't.
no, I mean investments, gambling. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, fine.
Legal-
Investments, yeah, it's sort of legalized gambling, right? It's just
Yes,
sort of,
yes,
yeah.
that's what I was just about to say. Yeah.
we have a state that legalizes gambling.
Well, actually, you know what the funny thing about that is? I'm sure you guys seen it, right? The GameStop documentary.
Mm.
So that is a case of investments, yes, being a way you can gamble, but no, actually, it is not a way you can gamble if you're gaming the system. So in such a way that they're definitively going to lose, right? So that's when like government steps in and tells you, no, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like the subprime mortgage loan. The only reason why it mattered is because it affected a bank. It
Right.
didn't affect a small mom and pop store or a GameStop, for example.
Yeah.
Which I think is weird, right? Like, I guess the government's still there for you to be a safety net on your risk
I
versus
guess,
reward.
no, but that's fascinating, right? It's like, I mean, with every system, there is always an exploit in a system, right? In a bunch of
Correct.
rules. So and we
Anti-cheat, need anti-cheat.
and we're always loosely associated to gaming the system, right? It's such an intriguing term, right?
It's always,
Right.
yeah.
But is it how do we? Is it too much of a taboo word that we just use freely, or are we taking it for granted? What do you guys think?
See, that's the thing I love that see, Joshua, you pointed out, like people actually say gamifying the system, or finding loopholes within the system. They're not really cheating. They're playing within the perimeters, but right at the edge. We see that in video games, right?
Yeah.
Linking back to even Apex, how people would rat. They go like, okay, this area is out of bounds, but if I nudge myself slightly to the left, I'm good.
Yeah, pixel walk a cliff edge and still
Yeah,
not die.
exactly. So technically, it's not like I'm not cheating. I'm just playing by their rules, but I'm bending it a bit. So even like going back to the topic of discussion today is about resource management, right? Looking at how we manage certain things. I remember, John, you were telling me about how you used to like spend all your money on spamming one particular like infantry or like one vehicle, but you don't use it to build factories that can, add more to your resource. Remember, you said, I'm just gonna build the biggest army, but then this guy comes along and it just has like 3 armies, but they're all high ranking, and then just wipe you out.
So there. I'm glad you brought that up. It's I guess it's like it's a Warcraft 3 kind of reference, right? Where we're looking at a situation and going, when I watch gameplays of really good players, you have some that never go above the low upkeep, right, or high upkeep. And the reason why they do that is because micromanagement of your resource. So
Yes.
knowing how to save, how to invest, and all this kind of things is what I was thinking, right? He invested in his unit by keeping him alive. So he invested time. And time, of course, we already know is equates to money. So
Mm-hmm.
by keeping that unit alive, he's able to build a bank so that when he loses a war and is unable to save all his units, he's able to come back quickly and stop the bleeding, which I thought was super interesting, right? You know, you're touching upon that because when I used to play Warcraft 3, I used to go straight to the 90 upkeep and just spam like 30 units at one guy, you know what I mean? And just hopefully I win or something like that.
Yeah, by sheer number, right?
Yeah, just by trying to outfox him in a sense.
Yep. But
Or
see how. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, sorry. I mean, or it's an analogy of just throwing the kitchen sink at somebody, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So how what the other guy is doing again? He's playing within the realm of what he can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, not to say that oh he can't play it this way. John is playing it wrong. He's playing it right, or vice versa. There's no right or wrong in this context, right? It's just again looking at how you as a player would manage that resource. And I think it kind of reflects in life as well, because again, sometimes I can be very careless when it comes to spending on games. I'm not saying in-game transactions or like buying skins or whatever, but literally go, okay, I need 20 potions right now because I'm going to fight this dragon. So I'm just going to grind my way, like literally grind and get the coins that I need and then buy all 20 health bars, right? So then I'm prepared to go in. It's the same thing with life. Sometimes I go, oh, okay, do I need this? But I might need it when the need arises, but I don't need it now. But because it's cheap now, it's $20, maybe I get it. And then just keep it there for God knows how long. So in that sense, I'm pretty bad when it comes to management of resources, right? Because I bought it because it's $20. Then the need may or may not arise, but I would rather have it now and spend $20 than have it than need it and then having to spend $50. So in a way, it kind of reflects about how I play as well, because again, that's how I play games. It's very similar to how I look when I spend in real currency in real life.
So true, right? I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of related to like perception of value and how the person is in real life. Most likely is how he or she plays the games as well, right? Either it's risk taking or it's more risk averse. There's it's a whole spectrum, right? So big difference now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that like perhaps the style of play, if you're more conservative, also kind of. I don't know. Okay, might be a weird sort of angle to take, right? But if you're more
Okay.
conservative, I think you're more Gyasu. But Gyasu meaning that I don't want to die. However, I want to spend like for me, right? I think we can both agree, Armand, that I'm very Gyasu, right? Like when I buy
Oh
something,
yes.
like when I buy a pair of shoes, it's never over $250, 250
Yeah.
ringgit. It has to be
Yeah.
250 or less, and
Yeah.
it must be a good deal, right? It has to be like Jumpmans or Jordans or something like that. And then I feel like, haha, I've beaten the system. I bought something some people might desire, maybe not always, but I've beaten it. I won.
Yep.
And I played Apex today with somebody like that. He let us rush in and die, and then he just ratted it out, and then took my banner and then crafted it for the fourth time. And I was like, I can't be mad at him.
Yep.
Because he's bringing me back to life in the game, right? And I was just thinking, this guy he doesn't buy a single Magnum ice cream until he's able to afford 500 Magnum ice creams.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether you've heard this adage before. So people in the modifying community for cars, right? They say you can buy a fast car, but so long as it's not just you can make the payments on your fast car, can
Right.
you make the payments on your repair bills for the fast car? And if you're not able to do that, you shouldn't buy it. Stay away. Go buy a Toyota. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever heard that sort of logic before?
Yes.
Okay. I thought.
I mean, if you play car games, specifically
Oh,
like
yeah.
Need for Speed and all those most wanted, holy Christ, dude! Like that is money management. Like I have to race 3 races a night in order to get that stage 2 turbo that I need to beat that guy in the next race. But then I have to grind 3 races, or I do night races where I gain reputation, which then in turn makes me rank up faster, which then in turn makes me go on races where there are more pockets, where the pocket size is much bigger, right? So then I go like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? Do I spend on a turbo now? No. Or do I save my money and then go on races, just small races, and then collect more money and then get the turbo? Or do I get turbo now so then I can then go on to those bigger races? So again, even with racing games, it's also some
Yeah.
form of finance management, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
it
true.
kind of relates back to what you just said. Like if you can't afford to repair that fast car, not just the down payment and the monthly on the fast car, don't get a fast car.
Oh man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I didn't think of it
Yeah.
that way. I didn't know Need for Speed so advanced now.
Yeah, because I just downloaded one and go like, hey, I don't remember this being this complicated, right?
It never was, right? It sounds really complicated.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, like, can you imagine back in the day when we played Gran Turismo and you're just spamming Sunday Cup in because it's the easiest race, so you can make some money to make your car faster.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
but it's so interesting now because again, I'm playing Need for Speed, and it is so comprehensive. It boils down to the suspension, the piping, the type of turbo, and I go like, oh my god, this is just too much, and it's so much like real life. I go like, what do I do first? Because again, uh, just to give context, so John just kind of rushed me into
No,
getting
come
my
on, why you
first hot
blame
hash.
me?
So I'm now like really much into like fast cars now, and I'm like,
Okay, okay.
so I'm thinking, okay, what should I do first? I keep telling John, what should I mod first? What should I do first? What should I do first? And he goes like, for aesthetics, change the rims, please. I say, okay, fine, but in terms of making the car go fast, what do I do? So I'm thinking in the same way that I'm playing that game, because I go, what is needed to win the race? Do I need a bigger turbo? Do I need a manifold? Do I need to change the crankshaft? Do I need what do I need in order for me to win the race? Same thing here when I asked John, what do I change to make my car go a little bit faster, little by little, but not break the bank, right? I'm not gonna go, here's 50K, throw in a new engine and then whatever, right? I'm gonna go, no. What can I buy for 2,000 ringgit? you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I guess so. There's a little bit of budget optimization in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Josh, you've heard of these apps where you can, it's like a tabung, there's like a piggy bank, but it's in the app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that a lot of people use those things? Like, do you know if people use those things often and all that?
To
Because
be
I know,
to be very frank.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Go
yeah,
on.
go ahead.
No. To be very frank, I don't know of anyone that actually uses the piggy bank function on like e-wallets and so on. But yeah, I think I've not heard of anyone who actually uses it. But I mean, since we're on this topic, right, and we're talking about gamification, resource management, and we were talking about it being apparent in a multitude of different games and brands use it and all these elements are kind of related to how much attention that we want to it's a war of attention, right? Don't you think so? It's kind of using or utilizing resource to gain the currency of attention, basically, right?
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm trying to see
Usage in terms
how
of
would
apps.
yeah.
Yeah.
Currency of attention through, that's interesting. Is there like a real, like a big time example of that you remember that we can quote?
Random rolls for loot.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where you're gonna spend hours, and it's kind of still related back to gambling, right? You
Oh,
sit in
yeah.
front of the slot machine
Super
for
duper risk versus reward.
yeah 5-6 hours.
Yeah, that's true. I guess,
Because
yeah, there's a lot of that going
the slot
on.
machine wants your attention, and your coins.
Yeah, that's true. The happiest thing in Genting when you go to the casino is the slot machine.
Yeah.
It sounds like the happiest thing ever.
And the least intimidating.
Yeah. No, you walk to
Yeah,
every other
somehow, yeah.
table in Genting, you're like, wow, everybody's not having a good time.
Yeah, everyone's like,
The whole family's there, sitting in a single table. There's not a single smile. But I tell you, during Chinese New Year,
Uh-huh.
open a table with those same people. No way, man. They'll be screaming at each other. Monkey! Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Armand about this actually. Like, have you observed or has Boost observed any of these things where people use this tabung kind of function within the app?
Funny, you should mention it.
Oh, funny, we invited you.
Our closest competitor is actually doing it right now. So if you look at what Touch and Go is doing, they've actually started a fixed deposit where
Oh,
you can move your current wallet into a fixed deposit within Touch and Go, and then it accumulates within a certain period of time.
oh my goodness. Are they gonna be as
Yes,
competitive as ASB?
I don't know.
Because
So they
the
did,
threshold right now is like 6%, right? ASB is like
yes,
the moment they
yes.
go under 6, everybody's gonna come out with their pitchforks.
Correct. Yeah. So Touch and Go only just recently launched this. I think like a month or 2 months ago. I can't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can go and listeners, viewers, go check it out.
Market
But
research for Armand.
yeah, but Touch and Go is introducing it, and the angle that they're going is fairly interesting because you go, how do I get people to add money into their wallet, and then once they have the wallet and they're not transacting, the money just sits there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do I create a different approach where, yeah, it's fine. You top up your money. You don't transact with Touch and Go in a way, but how can you then utilize the money that you have in your wallet that you don't want to transact with this? It's fine because you've got options now, right?
Mm.
So they go, take that money that you have in your wallet, $10, $5, doesn't matter. Put it in this fixed deposit within the app itself, transfer it from your wallet to the fixed deposit, and just let it sit. And in turn,
That's a good idea.
technically, what they're doing month on month, they're driving monthly transactional users and monthly active users.
So it's like
With
your 10 cents in the pocket kind of thing. Put it inside the thing and save it for a rainy day,
yes,
right?
exactly. So I think the current setup right now is that you can't withdraw, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not surprised if one day they decide, okay, you want to put $10 and then it grows to 10 ringgit and 10 cents. You want to take that 10 cents to buy gula gula, up to you. Take the 10 cents, right?
Can you even get 4 sweets for 20 cents anymore? Come on. Can I imagine also like the night harga with the whole inflation thing, man?
Yeah, but good point that you brought up, John. Like it's a reality now. They are doing it right now.
I wonder why like people don't really. I mean, it's a pretty okay because everyone's familiar with tabung haji and all that, right? Like it's a savings for you to do your hajj and all that, right? And
Right.
like it is probably the most popular savings plan
Mm-hmm.
and most publicized saving plan in Malaysia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, most publicized. Yes.
yeah. Nobody. I mean, this is outside of the realm of gaming, right? Like, why don't people take advantage of that? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't people going like, here's a Tabung Golf GTI, here's a Tabung. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, okay, fine. I know you can take a loan, fine, right?
Right.
But like, it's about sort of incentivizing you to save on one hand, right? Because I think if people did that, right? Let's say, for example, like, oh, to get we give you a tabung to put your down payment for a car, right? And then you put 25,000 in a bank account, and then suddenly you're like, whoa, that's a lot of money I saved, and then I'm less likely to be willy nilly with my car spending, right? I probably won't even buy the car after that because I see the huge amount of money, and I'm going, well, I don't need to put a down payment for a Perdua. Why would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I just save it for a rainy day, put something else into something else? You know what I mean? Like, it's like the idea that in game sometimes you don't always have like the strongest, like powerful weapon. Like it's an effective weapon. However, it's not repaired to its fullest, and to repair it to its optimum 100% level requires too much money. You're like, screw it, I'm not gonna die. There's a good chance I'll survive.
Yep. I mean, I guess at that point it slightly differs game and then in real life because again in game you can forfeit your life. Technically, you can go,
Mm.
fine, I'll die, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, right? Like, my weapon doesn't kill the dragon; it has slain me. I'll just restart and do
Mm.
it all over again, right? But when it comes to real life, I think the biggest problem here is again distribution of wealth, right?
Mm.
Let me ask the room: who here has an actual stock in something?
I
Not
don't. I'm
anymore.
so sorry.
Well, which is fine, which is fine, which is
Yeah,
fine.
not anymore.
I have another question for the room. Who usually does all this stock buying? People with wealth, people with money,
Yeah.
people who have money to burn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, for the average Joe, parting money to put in something that may or may not grow is
Mm-hmm.
also a risk, because if I put in, let's say, $1,000 into this whatever fixed deposit, am I going to see the $1,000? I don't know, but I need that $1,000 to buy my kids diapers,
Yeah.
to send
Mm.
him to school,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I go, maybe not. And that's why I think, generally speaking, in Southeast Asia at least, our form of saving is taking physical money and putting it under your bed, because again, in case of emergency, you don't have to break the glass, you just lift your pillow and then it's right there,
I've never
right?
slept on 1,000 ringgit, but I'll give it a shot. No,
Because if me and
I
yeah.
get that. Like,
Hmm.
wasn't there a story recently that somebody's like under the mattress money got eaten by termites or something like that? It's
Yeah,
crazy. She
yeah.
lost like
Oh, it's true.
20K. It
Oh.
was
Hmm.
crazy ridiculous.
Mm.
Hmm.
I was like, damn, that's crazy. It's fucked up to like lose that kind of money though. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I
But that
mean,
but
no,
go ahead.
sorry.
sorry, Josh,
I mean,
go, go.
it's kind of like maybe some of these individuals just have lost trust in like centralized institution, right? Banks or
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's resource that's also related to trust and trust, then vice versa, right? So uh,
Yeah, that's a sad reality, right? Like, I know we're way off tangent now, but fuck it. Like, this idea that like because I talk to people, and you know how a bank or an insurance company incentivizes your insurance payments, right? So they add a layer of investment to it, and they go after this so many years, you get some of
mm,
this money back, and it's grown over time and all that. But what they don't tell you is, oh, this mutual fund that they invest in for you performs very well.
mm,
The last 10 years, guaranteed 5%, 5 to 7% return, right?
mm,
But the reality is that to get the 5 to 7% return, the company has taken 25%. The
mm,
full return was maybe 32%. They cut you in for 7%, and they use your money to make themselves rich. And I think when
yeah.
people discover that such things exist, and
Mm,
that you've taken all my money and you've invested it, and when you lose that money, subprime mortgage crisis, 2008,
Mhm.
because of bad decision making and incentivizing loans upon loans, right? It The entire system collapses on itself, and then of course you get so little consumer confidence and all that, right?
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, it's if we're bringing, I don't know if we can, if you have to edit this part out, but in a local context, a few
No,
years
no, I'm
ago,
gonna keep it in.
okay, we had our employee provident funds and even tabung
Yeah,
haji found out. So I mean, these kind of things do relate back to, and these are people's lifelines, right? So
yeah,
people put in money for their Hajj pilgrimage, and it's a set amount, and
Mhm.
people, and you found out that it's the funds are being misappropriated. It's
Yep.
yeah. It's
yeah,
crazy
I mean
fucked
that's
up.
why people end up losing their money to termites underneath their bed because
Yeah.
Yeah,
and yeah, because some people are buying Ferraris and Teslas with it. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
man. I could go on and I really hate that. Like, I mean, I guess the older I get,
Mm.
and I'm really gonna apologize to everybody who might listen to this, right? Like, it's not that I don't like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff like that, or Bentleys or Bugattis. These are the things that people buy when, more often than not, they've gamed the system and
Mm,
won big.
Mm.
yeah.
I always liken like the Captain America kind of mentality in my brain we'll
Yes.
always say like, why does Captain America get into a Corvette C8 Stingray with Black Widow? Why is she not driving a Lamborghini? One, he's American, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to be in a Corvette. That is the most American of sports
Yeah.
cars, right?
Mm.
And
Uh-huh.
two, also, Captain America is a working man,
Yep.
right? He cannot become General America.
He's just a captain.
He's just a captain. He's a captain for
He's
life.
captain.
You know what I mean?
God, dude.
But that sounds so true, right? He's just a captain, so he's just gonna drive that car.
Yeah, he's
General
just
America.
a soldier, right? He's just a field captain, right? And I think that's the beauty. Like, that's why I guess in my heart and in my mind, I always aspire. Like in Malaysia, if I was going to be lucky and make a great career for myself and come up with something interesting along that way that makes me a lot of money, I think the pinnacle for me would be like a 911. I would not go beyond that. You know what I mean? Like, even 911 also seems a bit egregious to me. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it was the working man's sports car, right?
Yep.
But, I mean, in Malaysia, it's so expensive. I'm like, I guess I have a shitty 2015 GTR that's like half price. You know what I mean? Like, and even that's already so unattainable for most people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just look at that situation and go like, man, are we so conditioned already? Are we so chained? Like, that whatever we consume in the media, it's like the first thing you do is buy a Lamborghini, buy a Ferrari, buy a Bugatti, buy a Bentley, buy this and buy that and all that. Of course, I having that kind of money, I'd of course be the first person to show up at a Nissan dealership going, give me that one.
Yeah.
Give me the GTR. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same, right? They comes from the same place,
Yep.
right? But I'd like to imagine that somebody who grinds for it would buy something else. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Like, it's the same in like sort of looking at it from that Gran Turismo point of view. You could spend 10K on the car and have no money left over, right? Usually that's like a shitty 180 SX. With those,
Hey,
you know what I
let's
mean?
not get a 180 SX, man.
Okay, like the grand scheme of things, it's not the best starting car. Just to be fair, it's an RX-7. You save yourself a couple of thousand and you spend it on rims. But that being said, you know what I mean. Like the idea that you would pace yourself is different. Like when you have a large windfall, you're going, "Fuck! I have the cash. Fuck it! I'm gonna buy a big badass car." But if you like made it from the ground up, you know, like started from the bottom, now we're here kind of thing, then you would go, hey, you know what? I made $1 million or a million ringgit. I probably might not even buy a GTR. You know what I mean? I might go get a Golf GTR and add the biggest fucking turbo I've ever seen, you know, on it. You know what I mean? And just be like happy with that.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like, does gaming also teach you that in a respect? I mean, like that grind is, it's the difference between paying someone to level up for you and then doing it yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and then wearing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of related to, again, what you value, right? So do you do the grind because it's the achievement you want to achieve, or it's getting over a hurdle? What is it that you want to value? But I think the most important thing is, be it in gaming or anything in life, right? It's, you got to ask yourself, what do you want to gain from this, or what do you stand to gain from this? When resources and windfalls and everything is available to you in terms of possibilities, right? But at the end, I think we just need to take stock, either as suppliers or even as brands themselves. I think we need to ask, like, what do we value, and what do we want to achieve at the end, right? Because
That's
you
true.
can't be just spending and grinding with no aims, right? The goal and the aims is important, I think.
I absolutely love that analogy. I love that completely, because again, going back to what we do as marketeers, right? Is what makes a great ad? Is it the money that you throw into it? Billions, thousands, whatever, or do you get a dude with a vision and an iPhone and just go and shoot?
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
right.
so true, right?
Right? What makes a good ad? It's the same thing when we about movies as well. Like you have multi-billion-dollar movies that sucked, and then you have a movie that's a budget of a potato and ice kacang, right? And yeah, right. And then they make like billions back because again, we look at the heart. And Joshua, you said it well, right? It's what is it that you want to achieve? What is the goal here? So I think to your point, John, when you say people who start from the bottom and now they're here, they have that sense of value, which what Joshua was saying, right? Perception of value. What we see is valuable to us. What we want to portray ourselves outwards towards what people look at us, right? Same thing with brands. Brands go like, do we want to be a rich brand? Do we want to be a wholesome brand? Do we want to be mom and pop brand? Do we want to be what brand, right? So that's just like both of you is just nailed it on the hit it on the nail for this conversation, right? Again, what you put into, does that matter how much you put into? Again, going back to resource management, do I spend X amount of money so I can get X amount of views, or do I make something so ridiculously good that is just organically grow by itself?
Yeah, right.
Right.
So it's I mean, that's why it goes back to earlier, like what you mentioned, Armand, in terms of like why we play horror games, right? So why do we play Resident Evil? Because the developers identified that in terms of raising tension and horrors, right? It's actually to limit your amount of saves you can do, limit the amount of items you can carry in your suitcase. So all this adds up to what they ultimately want to achieve, right? Which is the tension and the horror set in gamers, right? And they use resource for that. So that is, I think that's a fantastic example that you put forth earlier, where it is about what you value and what you want to get out of your, even in a gaming sense. So it's yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I gotta say that you gave me a vision, man. I just imagined like somebody doing a zombie survival movie, and this guy's got to carry a stupid briefcase with him everywhere he goes. And you know, he's like a hypochondriac. He's a hypochondriac. He's got everything inside his suitcase, but you know, he's always got to roll the numbers every time he does it. And every time he's in a panic situation, like 304, come on.
Or if you see someone in trouble, he's like, "Can I fit him in a suitcase?" No, I can't.
Oh my god.
The choices you have to make, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, even like making the, I don't know if you guys watch this movie Talk to Me. It's done
yet.
by this bunch of YouTubers, right? Again, budget of a potato, man. They made back like billions because again of the story, right? They are fans of horror. They've been doing horror on YouTube their entire career, and then they go, maybe it's time for us to make a good horror movie, which they did. They went on circuits, and then eventually A24 picked them up and then distributed them.
I gotta check it out. Is it on
Wow,
Netflix?
that's amazing. What's it called?
It's not on Netflix. Talk to Me.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's
I
amazing.
shall
So
find a appropriate official source to watch it for.
you shall.
Always
Wink,
must
wink.
appropriate.
But yeah, see, going back again to that value, like what do you value? They value story. They value like, okay, screw the budget. We only have X amount of stuff. Let's make this work. Again, budgeting and it all about resources, what they have and what they can use, and then look at the returns that they've gotten. So it's amazing. So again, going back to what John said, risk versus reward, right?
But you know what? I love how you guys arrived at vision. You know one thing a game kind of subconsciously taught me is that you play a game to get to the end of the game. That is the goal. So you want to know how Sephiroth is going to lose to Cloud, whether it's using the Buster Sword or whatever, Braver.
Nerd.
Nerd speak. You know what I mean? And that's a very clear goal in mind, right? But I want to say that, like, in the last maybe, when I started on advertising, I was shit at it. But gradually, when I look back at that time, people had a vision. The CMO had a vision for their brand. And some did great things with their brands. And some didn't do such great things for their brands. But nonetheless, having a vision is probably one of the more important things to do, to have in any occupation, right? And I feel like the game of life, or even the game of advertising and marketing and all that, the end goal is about having a vision for your work, right? do the most creative ad possible, win cons, go on stage in marquees and be advertiser of the year. You know what I mean? Like, or be the first company to offer fixed deposits for your touch and go reloads. I mean, if you look at it that way, you could turn the end result into the goal and back rationalize it, right? Do you guys think that it's missing from today, or am I just sort of imagining things? And like, what are your thoughts? Like, is it important to have this vision, or should you just leave the agency to figure that out?
All yours, Joshua.
Loaded question.
No, I think it's I mean, ultimately, it's very important. I think to have a vision, but most importantly, that vision is to correlate back to who you are as a brand, or even as people working for the brand, right? So, I mean, in this day and age, budgets are scarce and tight, right? But if you guys have heard the saying, and I kind of believe in it, where tell me my limits and I'll show you creativity, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, but you need to know what your vision is, and you need to know what your limits are. So you can't come in and say that think up of something, I just want something. No, but something is nothing. So tell me what your limits are, and basically I'll show you how you can be memorable, right? I mean, yeah. Ultimately, I mean, that's where all great work comes from, right? It isn't. It's only worth a story is only worth telling if there is strife in it, right? Yeah, because if you were born privileged, then sorry, I mean, no offense to anyone who's born privileged, but it's people are not interested in. People love the rags to riches story.
Yeah,
The underdog.
Reason, right?
The underdog.
Yeah, we all love the underdog story, you know.
Yeah,
Those
I
all
want to.
limits,
I want to. You know, the only story that wasn't an underdog story that I watched when I was a kid was Richie Rich. I was like, this motherfucker can still find a way to have some stress in his life.
That's just corporate America trying to sell you capitalism, but
Oh yeah, probably
Yep.
true. He had a
Yep,
McDonald's inside his house, though. Come on, man. That's yes. I don't know,
Yeah.
thoughts.
Nicely put, Joshua. Like, I think this is a nice way to encompass everything that we've discussed, and then having a reprise of John's experiences with Warcraft, right? Warcraft.
Warcraft.
Right, right. You go, I'm gonna make as many armies as I can, and then the other guy goes, I'm only gonna send 3, because again, Joshua, what you said is, know your vision, right? So he probably had a vision. I go, my vision here with X amount of resource is to create this. And then John's vision is, I want to crush everyone.
Nothing's wrong.
Yeah, nothing is wrong. But again, the method is determined with the outcome, right? So the outcome is, I want to do this. So what is the vision? The vision is that. So how do I have that vision? I need this. I need this for that to happen in order for my vision to come true.
Correct.
And then going back to again, as you said, brands and how they want to see themselves. Again, now there's budget cuts. Everyone's like reducing spend on agencies, on media, on this and that. But somehow they still seem to find a way into all our homes, right? So it's going back to the vision. Is it really throw money and then get whatever in return? Or be smart about it and go, here's the X amount of resource that I have. How do I then use this X amount of resource and then get the most out of that resource? Right? Do I hire 7 ECDs, or do I hire 1 great one and then 6 hardworking designers and writers? What do I do? So on one hand, you can get 7 brilliant minds that have all these amazing ideas, but no one to do the work. Or you have
all the havoc in the world. But,
all the havoc in the world. Or you have 1 brilliant mind that has to manage 6 divas of writers and designers. Right? So again, it's like, how do I manage with what I have? But again, it goes back to the vision. What is the vision that you want to see?
I feel like this is a microcosm for self-help as well. You know, in games like SWTOR, like there's certain armors for a bounty hunter that will really make you look sick. And you go and find that that armor, and then you go and do all your doodads and color it and all that kind of stuff, and then you have a vision of yourself, right? This avatar that you would like to be, to
Yes.
become, right? I was like, that's all things like when I get dressed in the morning, I'm dressing the video game. I'm not dressing John. You know what I mean? Like,
oh
I'm
yeah.
yeah. I
For
show up to the
sure.
office and people like, I don't know what they think of this dude, you know, this big giant size like ball of meat walking into the office. Like, you know what I mean? But like, it's part and parcel of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm also weighing my options, right? Like. Is too much gold a bad thing? Is black and gold go with pink? I don't know.
Too
Is
much
that even
bling
a
for your
thing?
swing.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, like, that's good. You know, I feel like, I mean, we were a little bit off tangent, but that's fine. You know, I mean, I think we're covering a lot of things here because the reality is that, like, I think the resource management thing is probably everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't see it so often, maybe in the past, as we do now, right? You know, in Mario Brothers, you don't really have resource management, right? In a sense, the resource management is don't fall in the pit, don't get hit by a
There's a number of
fireball.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about what you do to affect the game rather than what the game allows you to do to manage things for yourself. So I guess in a sense, I feel like maybe I have not indirectly learned something about resource management, but it's definitely taught me a few things about, like, well, if I hit on 13 and the dealer's got a buzz card, it's risk versus reward. I stand to lose my resource, which is my $5 on the table. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
things like that. I don't know. Do you guys feel like your sort of final thoughts on this whole resource management thing?
I mean, so
Joshua?
true, right? It's I mean, in this day and age now, it's so important, right? Because resources are limited, they're stretched, they're finite in what we have, right? But I mean, but I think if we collectively, I mean, in whatever the situation, right, there is always a viable solution, and resource here can turn into an asset if we choose. We need to have a good view on how you wanna or what you envision it to be uh, as of use to you, right, at the end.
Yep. Totally agree with that. Like, I mean, John, as you said, like, I think now things are become more apparent to us because I think a lot of us have to be financially literate. Not that we want to,
Yeah.
we have to,
Yeah.
right? Because cost of living is going up. As Joshua said, resources are finite. You know, there's not enough going around. So now, more than ever, we have to be a bit more cautious with what we do with our money, right? And again, gentlemen, let's not forget the OG of resource game, Monopoly, man.
Oh, dude, I love Monopoly.
So yeah, it again, that game has taught me a lot, right? About, do I buy Boardwalk? Do I let it pass? I only have enough. Do I get more property, or do I buy the property that has more value, right? So that was the start of financial literacy in a way, right? But as you said, John, yeah, back then I was a bit more carefree with money and all that because money was still okay. You know, Malaysia was doing pretty well, I would say. You know, no one was, starving and what have you. But I think as we progress in the next century or so, we need to prepare ourselves. And I think the best gateway to prepare children for resource management or financial management is through games.
Yeah, you know what? I actually do think so. I think that like Minecraft, Save the Trees for a Rainy Day, kind of, I don't know, whatever. Think of a title. You know what I mean? Like, some version of Roblox would probably help a lot. You know, like, I think Animal Crossing is one of those games that teaches you to be resource mindful, right? You know what I mean? And I think there's also a lot of that, you know, forgive me for saying this, but not everybody is a good consumer. They're not really, they don't drill down into need, want, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and they don't know whether or not they're buying into bullshit like greenwashing, or they really think that they're doing some good. And I think that a lot of that is not come from a video game, obviously, But a lot of that comes from the fact that, like, if you're thinking about global resource management for our ecology, climate change, and all that kind of stuff, you would know that you should just take a bus. Everyone should just take a bus.
Or eat less beef. Or
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they say eat less beef, Josh, but have you seen how much water it takes to grow an avocado?
that's also true.
That's
yeah.
Pierce Morgan's favorite thing, because I was just like, yeah, don't fuck with my beef,
Yep.
man. I want my steak. Just
No,
you
but
don't
yeah,
have to
you're
keep them all in one place. You know what
But
I
you're
mean?
right, right? I mean, it's also water, right? It's not.
Oh, yeah.
It's not infinite, you know. So
No, exactly.
I think there's speculation for like water to be a very important commodity within the next half a century, right? Because
I think it's not just water, right? It's got to be that clean, reusable, potable water. I mean, like, a lot of places I heard Singapore is like investing heavily, not just in desalination, but reverse osmosis, water treatment facilities, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, like, RO water always tastes a bit funky. It's always got that chlorinated taste. It's because of that, lah. They try to kill all the fucked up germs in there, lah.
yeah,
Drinking someone else's pee poo. That's why it's amazing to me. I know we're really off tangent. We're already way past it, but fuck it. It's like today it rained the whole day today, right? Now, a smart man would have been like, "Hey, it rains a lot in Malaysia. Maybe I should do a top-down water filtration system, build a giant sinkhole, and just treat the water that way. And all I do is just put natural." You know how you get those Pensonic water filtration dispenser thingamajigs? And they've got they have dirt, sand, stone, and then don't know what.
Yeah.
I was like, if we could do that in that little thing, why the fuck can't we do it with with the places that we have around here? You know what I mean? Like, but of course that's me being very overly simplistic, lah.
It's called money.
Why, dude? I give the government enough money.
You know how many mentries are there on the board?
Bro, I don't even know why they're taking. I can't believe, dude. I want to be a minister. How do I apply to become a minister?
You must
gotta go
first
to
be a local representative, and then make your way up.
Okay, so you're teaching me in Malay, right? Because there's no way I can get away with just speaking English.
Can.
Or John, you can be a rapper first, put in a number of years, and then you can start being a politician.
Why? Who did
It
that?
has worked for some people. But,
Yeah, that is the ultimate goal.
yeah, that is the ultimate goal.
ultimate goal.
Oh, okay, wait. Who's this rapper we're talking about?
It's the ultimate goal,
It's
John.
the ultimate goal.
No, shut up. Are you serious? He's a munchie now? Are you serious?
No, but it's normal. I think like public figures. I
Yeah,
mean, you see it in the US so often, right?
Well, I mean, people get into politics in the U.S. not for governance anymore, right? They just do it to get famous and rich. All right. Well, yeah, there should be a video game about politics. We can get into that too.
yeah.
I don't dare to do this.
Okay, we're out on this one.